Hello, everybody. This is the IoT show. I'm Sudha Jamte, and we are doing this covering Taiwan today for the IoT Day. And with me, I have a special guest. He is Chou-Yan. Am I pronouncing it right, or you want to tell me one more time?
It's going up. Shuo-Yan, going down.
Chou. Okay, so tell me a little bit about yourself. What is your background? And holistically, tell me your background before you got to what you're doing.
Okay, I'm a professor teaching in National Taiwan University of Science and Technology. I got my PhD from University of Michigan. My background was computational geometry. And about 8 to 9 years ago, I started to work on RFID because I was interested in finding out the location for placing different readers to read RFID text. And I was able to get quite a few projects from the government during the period. And because these were funded for RFID applications, we tried to use RFID in different kinds of application and found out that the technology is not the miracle cure for everything. So we started to look into different technology to enhance the service we wanted to provide. And so gradually, I think since 2008, that was the first year we heard of this IoT. And in fact, that was probably the first IoT conference hosted by ETH in Zurich. And then we realized that there were different options, technology that we can use to combine and make a more sensible offer in services.
Okay, so help me understand, when you said you had projects from the government, it is Taiwanese government, what kind of things you did with RFID, and what was the limitation that made you go towards sensors?
Okay. Yeah, it was Taiwanese government because at the time the government set up RFID as the key technology that Taiwan will develop. We know that Taiwan was or still quite good in semiconductor manufacturing, so they thought at the time still focusing very much on the hardware. So they thought that there were a lot of, if there were a lot of RFID applications, so there will be high demand on RFID hardware, including readers and chips. And because the government set it up as a national project, so they were funding from different ministry based on their own needs. So they came up with the funding. So I was doing RFID application for, say, education. In elementary school, senior high school, we use RFID to track students' arrival time, students' whereabouts. And in special ed school, we also try to use RFID technology to help students. Students needing extra help to track their.
So tell me, so you track the students with RFID, means the students wore some kind of wearable with RFID on them?
Yes, at the time we purchased a lot of passive UHF tags. Every student will have one, so that in the morning when they arrive in the school, then the reader at the gate or at the door of the classroom will read them. If they haven't reached the classroom by a certain time, there will be message, short SMS sent to their parents, alerting them that their kids.
Oh my God, I cannot imagine this happening anywhere in the world except China.
Well, it's for their own protection because I think, that's the society in Taiwan. The parents are concerned about their kids' safety a lot. Although I think Taiwan was and still one of the safest place in the world I think it was number 2 or number 1 last year. But still, parents want their
But
kids.
if you can track the kids, I mean, now with IoT, you have wearables for kids, for smaller kids contained within a playground area and things like that. We actually worry about some hacker could get access and track down the child and,
Right.
know more information than they should. It's a privacy violation. Isn't that a safety risk instead of enhancing safety?
Right. I think during the RFID era, it's okay because very few people can read their text. Now with the mobile, indeed, it will be kind of dangerous. The safety issue is indeed an issue. As I said, I think different countries have different backgrounds. And in Taiwan, I think because it is safer. I mean, we go out at night at 12 o'clock at night. I think safety never came into our mind or our concern. We just feel that maybe we couldn't get a car, public transportation, but seldom we'll say that, we'll think that, is it going to be safe to go out at that time of the day? So I think these kind of issues, privacy issue could be of a concern, but right now, public safety is less of our concern.
So how long ago did you do this RFID tracking of the kids in school? So it's like an attendance check when they move from classes to classes.
Was about 8-9 years ago.
Okay.
In 2007, I think.
Okay.
And but the biggest problem was students got the text and they don't feel like they are obliged to bring the text every day.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of false alarm, and even when they brought their text, they could have put their text in their bags, their pocket, and the sensing weren't that accurate or that valid. So
so RFID, so the limitation of RFID, help me understand. I've heard this in factory settings when you try to put that for tracking inventory, that it doesn't go through metal. So is metal the only blocker, or what is the limitation of RFID?
Okay, I think liquid and metals all have influence on RFID, and also depends on what kind of technology we are referring to. For UHF tags, I think it is heavily influenced by liquid and metal, but for like low frequency, high frequency tags, they are less concerned with these interference. So I guess it's not necessarily all technology is about the usage, how people use a combination of technologies. As I said, students got free text, and they never thought that they need to bring the text so that they can be tracked. So we have reader, we have tag, passive tag, and the combination serves a certain purpose, but it failed. But now you probably know that there's also another combination where users bring their mobile phone and will place beacons in the environment.
Yeah.
So it is the same combination. There's a reader, there's a tag or beacon where you can read, but the roles reverse. So everybody, I think right now I still have my phone. Everybody bring their phone like religiously.
Yes.
If they don't
they won't forget. It's not like a tag. It does more fun things.
Yeah, I think they'll have very high anxiety, being afraid of missing something important. So people will always bring their phone, and their phone are more powerful, so that they can upload information, they can read the information, upload the information. So for people providing these kinds of services in the past, you had to buy very expensive RFID UHF readers. Now you just need to buy very inexpensive beacons and place them in the environment in large quantity, and expect people using smartphone to upload the information and get connected with the internet. So although the combination of the technology were the same, reader and something passive that can be read, but role reverse. I think the later part, the current technology is more valid because first of all, people will bring their phones. Secondly, they'll take their phones out. So the usage is more homogeneous. People will hold the phone outside so that they look at the phone, getting service, and the phone can read information, the beacons in the environment, so that the signal strengths are more normal, I would say.
So in here in US, we have these beacons in retail stores. We have Target, which has these beacons. So it tracks where we go near shopping aisles to help us shop better, right? And I know it also there in airports in many places. I've heard in China they have that in Pizza Hut. They have, in hundreds of Pizza Hut they have beacons, and then it talks to your WeChat app. And it blows my mind that this is in school. So, so how long ago did you switch from the RFID to the beacons in schools?
The beacons in the school, I didn't use the beacons in the school. I did use a beacon for the exhibition. So we had a project. So people participating exhibition, spending a lot of money to just show up, and they try to collect information from potential customers, but ended up getting a pile of business card and not having enough time or not having enough information to prioritize your contact. So what we did was we developed an environment. I think there were also others developed this kind of environment where we put beacons in the exhibition hall and provide services to participants so that when they enter, they have to turn on their phone and get an app. The app will provide them service. At the same time, the app will communicate with the beacons that we installed in the exhibition hall. So that
you would need the app to talk, right? Which whoever is providing the beacons and planning to track, they would be able to map the ID of the beacon to different locations to know to which beacon is where, so that they know the person is near that booth or that corner, right?
Exactly.
And then it has to talk back to their app. So you have to give users a motivation to download the app. You have to give them something.
Providing services, providing some gaming kind of services. And I think in the end, what we did was we tracked the time that individual visitor spend at different booths and use the characteristic of the booth to analyze the intention or the likelihood of being a good customer for certain exhibitors. So, for example, if this visitor came to your booth, and this visitor also went to different booths, which are in some sense related to your business, we will probably conjecture that this is a visitor who has intention in knowing your kinds of product. If this person move around different booths with very different characteristics, maybe this person is just doing sightseeing and spending time.
Because they stopped by at your booth. They've shown interest. That's like a retail shopping, same thing, right? Because we stopped at this aisle.
Right.
That's a project you did. These are all side projects you're teaching that you're doing at the university, right?
Yeah, I have been doing a lot of RFID application and services on the consumer market. Recently, I'm working also on the RFID application on the industry area. Particularly, we call it an Industry 4.0 or Industrial Internet.
Yeah.
So it's because I think
when we got introduced, you were saying something about how the industries are adopting it, right? So are you telling me about the scene? I want to know about the whole IoT ecosystem in Taiwan around you and projects you're involved. So tell me, is this something that you got involved, or is there a movement? Because from outside, I've heard about how the China government decided IoT is big and they estimated so many $billion. And there's a whole manifesto that they've made plans in 2010 or something. Is that true? Is there a number? Is that public?
Yes, yes. I think China has this like 5-year horizon as a planning period. So they sort of rolled it over every 5 years. And for the previous period, they said IoT as the key technology development area for the country. And similarly for 2000, I think it was 2011 to 15 or 2010 to 14. This is the next stage already, and it is still ongoing. So
So
China.
are you still continuing with IoT, or you're doing IoT with something else now?
I'm focusing very much on IoT.
No, the China government, when they said
China.
our economic development is going to be based on IoT in 2011, is it something else now?
Oh, still IoT. They have a spectrum of technology that they want to develop. So for the last period, I think IoT was one of the 7 key technologies that they wanted to develop, not just on the hardware, also on different innovative applications. China is very advanced. You probably know that based on Gartner Group, China is very advanced, probably the leading e-commerce country in the world. The reason being the society is more susceptible to something even not very mature. So in the US or in other environment, everything has to be very mature before you can use it in consumer market. And I think because of the past development and because of I think other reason, and China is or has been able to just take the technology and adopt it, and if there are problems, they'll fix it along the way. And consumers or users are happy with it.
You're saying it's more the Chinese consumers are more receptive to just trying out new technologies, iterate with it, and fund it. Essentially, if you mean they're iterating, that means they're getting a phone which is not the latest, greatest phone, but then, it would work. Maybe if it has short battery life, they will upgrade, they would get new phones, and, they will go through the cycle of spending money, right? That's
if the battery failed, they said no big deal. If the company is willing to replace it, then it's okay. But I think for U.S. consumer or for Taiwanese consumer, we'll say that this phone is really bad. This is a bad company. We'll never do business with this company. Or if you use say e-commerce for delivery.
Sorry, is that true of consumers only? Because I think more than consumers in an industrial setting, right? If you're going to go do business with somebody, if the quality is not good, you're not going to get the business again, and then the company is likely not going to scale as much. So are you saying it's just the consumers, or do you think even business have high tolerance for?
In China, even business is more like this. They are willing to it also based on the environment. If you go out, the traffic is not very good, and you get used to it. You complain, but if it's a little bit better than that, you say, okay, it's improving. They're happy with it. I think that's the advantage. I also told a lot of people that China also created a very different competition. Sometimes in the West, you'll say that, oh, no, we probably won't do it. It's not going to be realized for a long time because you look at all the developed countries, you know that it's very difficult to get it through. But then China is doing it. So what should you do? Are you going to wait or like driverless car? Everybody say that, okay, yeah, maybe it's not going to be that fast. But I told them that if you look at e-commerce, if you look at a lot of online financial instruments, China just went ahead and do it. Driverless car, as long as China has, if they can build up technology, they'll probably just adapt it in some places. So it changed the dynamic of competition. There are people doing it. We don't, we don't. If you don't want to do it, you will be behind. So
That's actually interesting. So, talking about driverless cars, if you said if they have the technology, they would do it. Do you know about China's work in driverless car or anything in the connected car space? What's going on?
Well, that's just my. I think definitely they are doing it. I think maybe just based on my limited understanding, China is very capable of producing a lot of technologies. It's just that they may not be as sophisticated in making them for consumer. Meaning that if you are making it for consumer, cost become an issue.
Yeah.
If you are making it for military, the cost is not an issue. I think they can make pretty much everything. But when you want to turn it into consumer product, you need to be able to do mass production. Then mass production became an issue. That's the discrepancy. Otherwise, I think they have enough capability to do a lot of new things. And
so let us go back. Let us go back to your example you're giving about industries, right? So you worked with RFID chips with schools. Then you said RFID is limited. Let's switch to beacons, and then you tried that with conferences, and you started talking about industry. So tell me your example experience of working with industry, and tell me what you have done, and tell me what's out there too.
Okay, yeah, I think I mentioned that when Taiwanese government saw RFID was developing, they saw opportunities in hardware. But I think in recent years, gradually Taiwan started to look at RFID and IoT not on the technologies alone. They are looking at potential service and potential game changer for Taiwan's industry. So they have been promoting different kind of RFID adoptions and IoT adoption in the industry, trying to follow the development in Germany and in the US. In Germany, it is called Industry 4.0 or Cyber Physical System. In the US, it's called Industrial Internet, where they want to put sensors on environment, machines,
IIoT.
products.
Yeah.
IoT, yeah. And so that they can get data from these machines and products. Once you have data sensed and communicated all the time, you get a lot more information. I mean, people in the past, you see that this person, you get the product at a certain point. You get the status of the information at a certain point. Now you can almost get the information continuously. So in the past, we wouldn't call a factory or manufacturing process transparent. But now with sensors connected to devices, connected to product, connected to transporters, we can actually say that our manufacturing environment can be totally transparent.
So I had a guest from when we covered Boston. I had somebody from Boston talking to me about GE, and he called it as IoT thinking. What GE does in real time, they get data about how their turbines are working while they're producing it in the floor. Are you saying something like that exists in the industry? For what kind? Help me understand what kind of industry are we talking, and then give me more specific examples.
Yeah, okay. So I think they are just a lot of examples. GE does big things. GE does airplane engine, locomotive, wind turbine, healthcare devices, or maybe even power generator. But smaller devices have similar problem. Device may break, and we want to make sure that we can know. We want to reduce the impact from uh, uh, unplanned maintenance of devices. So we are hoping to collect data. I mean, this is just one application. Which we want to collect the performance data of any product, hardware, machines, machining devices, coffee machine, TV. We want to make sure that these devices, we can know the some signal before these devices breaks, so that we can maintain in advance to prevent its broken down. It has a lot of value to it.
So how would you know for like if the consumer devices like coffee machine or toaster or something, right? Are you saying the manufacturing company would put some sensor in it and send it out to the customer and
Yes.
track?
Yes.
Be sensors in the devices in the homes of the customers. It is happening right now.
It is. It is. I think there will be more and more product having sensors. It's not just sensing this particular information for this particular application. I think it's changing the entire business model, where we have connected devices. The devices can help manufacturer or service provider to ensure that consumer can get the maximum functionality out of the device.
So if my device breaks, if my washing machine at home breaks, then my service shop would be notified and they would call me and say, hey, looks like it's not working, should we come fix it? That's valid.
They'll probably say that it's going to break soon.
That's so even predictive analytics based on similar patterns with a volume of customers.
Yep, and they can also tell you that don't worry about the machine. Let us worry about the machine. So if you don't know how to operate on the machine, if you allow us to operate the machine, we'll operate the machine optimally for you. I mean, in terms of performance, in terms of energy consumption, you just worry about other things. I mean, although right now we feel like we want to control them, but I don't think we do because it's something not having very little value add to the activity.
So are you saying this is happening in the home setting or in the industrial setting? Like in the industry, as in, is this for industrial components and devices? Like for example, like Boeing, Airbus, and all have sensors, right, for all the different parts to track. While after they shipped it to their customers, they still track whether all the different parts are functional. So are you saying it's happening like that for home products, or is that a possibility you're saying it'll happen in the future?
Oh, I think it's happening for home products. There was a company, a coffee machine company in Taiwan. They have sensors sensing the consumption of the coffee beans so that they can replenish the coffee beans for you. For sure, you can have sensors on your coffee machine if you are selling coffee, so that the manufacturer of the coffee machine can sense how many different coffees that you sell during the day. And they can combine the information of, say, the weather information, the event information, so that they know why you are selling more coffee on a particular day and why you are not selling coffee on another day.
It's like the Amazon Dash, right? Amazon has this Dash button that I can put on various things. And and then it tracks. It's not tracking where that it is finishing, right? I could put it on my dishwasher, and my dishwasher detergent finishes. I, as a consumer, have to tap it. So now they're actually working on, that's called Amazon Replenishment Service, DRS. So they're working with the manufacturer, but I haven't seen those products live with this baked in. But it's more for consumers to tap and say, okay, I've run out of coffee, I've run out of dishwasher liquid or toilet paper or whatever, soap or something like that. And then they will collect enough data, then they would know my consumption pattern. So then the dream is to be able to kind of send it out to my house on a drone, right, when I need it, right, before I know I finished.
Before you need it. Before you know you need it, they'll send it to you.
That's the keyword.
Yeah. I think the main point for IoT is IoT does it automatically for you. If you want IoT to do it for you,
Yes.
then if, I think more. Personally, my belief is there are many benefits of having sensors on devices. So again, it provides different business model as well. It's not for predictive maintenance only. It's also for providing intelligence. Like say for air conditioner at home, every time I come in, I lower the temperature to the degree that it can quickly cool down, but then it becomes too cold, then I change the temperature again. So I'm doing this constantly. I never learn how to adjust it. But if there are company behind and collecting these data constantly, I think they should be able to add certain sensors and help me to adjust and understand my behavior and help me to create the true outcome that I want. That is a comfortable air
and you want energy saving also. You want to optimize with energy saving. Like Nest, that thermostat tries to do that. It knows what heat setting I put in my house, and it's learning. So
right.
Adjust to that.
Right. And Nest and a lot of these thermostats can do that already. And that's also very important.
Okay, so we heard about education, your work with RFID, your work with beacons, about several different industrial scenarios that's happening right now, and more possibilities. Is there anything related to farming, smart farming, that you're aware of that is happening in China?
In China and also in Taiwan, a lot. I think well, particularly, we have food safety issues. So government has been trying to use IoT to sense the farming environment and basically help farmers. I think at least in Taiwan, all these residuals in the agricultural product weren't done intentionally. My understanding through my colleagues was that in Taiwan, almost you have to use pesticides. Otherwise, I think we have too much pests, the insects to harm our agricultural product. But as long as you apply these pesticides way ahead of your harvest, then the dosage will reduce to the degree that it becomes safe. But because of weather condition, where farmers just apply pesticide, then they know that the weather is going to get bad, and they were afraid of being losing a lot of their crops, so they decided to harvest them earlier than they should have. That created a problem. So I think using RFID and combining with different information, we can help farmers to better manage their pesticide application and prevent or at least reduce the possible hazard from the weather.
That is very, very cool. So before we wrap up, I want to understand what is the startup scene with all this, right? Where is is there a lot of startups? Is there encouragement for startups? Are there incubators? Is there a different model? Is there government supporting it? Help me understand the startup scene. Yeah. When the Chinese government says this is our goal for the next 5 years, do they fund companies, or is there a thriving startup ecosystem of any kind?
Okay. Both in China and in Taiwan, startup or this entrepreneurship spirit have been heavily promoted by the government and industry. I think you probably also know that up until now, most of the IoT development from these big companies were through merger and acquisition. It has been like that. A lot of smaller things have been played with and developed by different startup company for some time. And when they become mature and they found synergy, then they just get. I think the environment is similar in Taiwan. That we know that big companies are harder to work on these kind of development, and they were still focusing on their main development. And so the government, many large companies in Taiwan are encouraging startup. They host different competition. They host different training camps. They invite people from Silicon Valley to go back to Taiwan to be mentor for these students trying to start their own business. It's just many such kind of activities, and universities are also participating on this entrepreneurship education.
So does your university, you're in the science and tech department, right? Does your university also have an entrepreneurship function?
Yes. We have in most of the university we also have this so-called garage kind of place.
Yeah.
And we are also bringing in hackerspace, fab lab, makerspace, or we are also hosting a lot of hackathon kind of activities in the school. So we, in this sense, we are pretty much in sync with the development. And basically, we do know that we need to have more innovation.
Yeah.
And it has been quite slow in Taiwan for some time, and also in China. So both China and Taiwan have been working very hard to bring out this kind of spirit. And I think it will still take some time, but we see more and more people are willing to get their hands dirty and trying to play with different things rather than just studying to get good grades.
So where do they get the funding from? Is there like venture funds from these big companies? Is there funding from the government? Is there separate venture funds?
Well, in terms of venture capitals, at Taiwan is not as mature as it is in the US, but the government does have different kind of funding. That government has allocated, I think it's about 300 million US dollars so that they can fund this early stage development. And of course, government has its other instruments as well. And big companies in the past, they only seek very mature products, and they are just merging probably another company. But now I see quite a few big companies, they have new divisions on IoT, new division on investment. They are just looking at early stage development, trying to fund it. And for all the competitions, they also provide funding. These are startup competition. The government has this startup competition. If you want, you get, I think it's around 60,000 US dollars, so that you can start up your business and probably can get you started a little bit.
This is so cool. So
Yeah.
I had somebody ping me. I think this is my latest book, IoT Disruptions 2020. This is
okay.
So IoT Disruptions.
IoT
So essentially the opportunity with IoT to innovate and do something big and disruptive in variety of industries. And this particular book talks about using IoT and artificial intelligence or machine learning and various different functions and
Okay. Okay.
what you could do very practically, not super futuristic thing, what you can do by 2020. And I have it only in English. And I have had people from China ping me and say, why don't you give me a Chinese translation? And we want to go do startups. So I hope they will get to see this, hear from you on the opportunities that is out there. So I just love it. And thank you so much. So you gave us such a holistic picture, and it's amazing because you're a teacher, you're hands-on, working with industries and doing things, and you could actually give us the whole holistic feel of the IoT ecosystem and cultural differences and how they are challenging competition in the world. I just loved it. So thank you so much for taking the time.
My pleasure.
I really appreciate it. I had so much fun, and that's all the time I've got. And thanks. Thank you, Joanne. Shuo-Yan. Shuo-Yan. Thank you, Shuo-Yan. And I will see you. Bye, everybody.